Anxiety is running rampant in our world today. In the United States, it's completely out of control, even though studies will say that up to 40% of Americans are struggling with anxiety right now. In our private practice, we see it more like 65 to 70%. Hey, David Essel here. And the hard thing about anxiety is, what causes it and what are the cures for it? Are there cures for it, right? Why do so many people have it? And what do we need to do to diminish the chances of our anxiety increasing? What do we need to do to decrease or to help eliminate or greatly decrease the anxiety we're feeling on a daily basis? As a counselor for 45 years, a #1 best-selling author and more, and someone who struggled deeply with generalized anxiety disorder, and I'll get into explaining what that is, I understand the difficulty. I understand the challenges. And I say this with tongue-in-cheek in a way, but every interview I do, TV, podcast, radio, etc., I say the same thing. One of the greatest benefits of David Essel going through all of these mental health challenges, when I was diagnosed with anxiety, deep clinical depression, ADD, ADHD, the benefit is that I go through these experiences and I come out the other side able to help more people. I mean, it's incredible. I don't raise my hand and say I'd like to experience anxiety for 30 years so I can learn how to help people heal. But it's true. I've gone through all of these things. Depression. I had a failed suicide attempt. Everything you can imagine, addiction to alcohol for years and years. So anxiety is one of those things that is so difficult because many times there's not an origin. In other words, scientists have still not found a gene for anxiety. There isn't one gene that creates anxiety. Most people believe, and most experts in the world of anxiety believe, that it is learned behavior, that it's an environmentally passed down behavior from mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, that they are in an environment with high anxiety as a child, and so they took it on. This is called generalized anxiety disorder. We may not be able to find an exact cause or the day or the year or something like this happened that created this internal anxiety. So it's generalized anxiety disorder. We were raised in an environment where mom and dad, as I mentioned before, couldn't control their own anxiety, and so they ended up having to pass that on down, right? I have clients I've worked with whose parents were perfectionists, and they created incredibly super high anxiety kids, right, that I'm working with in their 40s and 50s to see that the environment they were raised in created anxiety. If you had a mom or dad that believes in perfectionism, and this is another thing that I get women and men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they came from an environment where mom or dad expected them to be perfect. What a great feeding grounds for anxiety, right? It completely destroys any chance of confidence when you have people that are extremely anxious with you or in your environment. So we have generalized anxiety disorder, and then we have anxiety caused by actual events. Being thrown into a pool at 4 years of age, not prepared for it, can create anxiety around water for the rest of your life. Now, I'll tell you there are ways that we heal this, but I'm just sort of giving you examples, right? I had a gentleman and this is a very, very difficult even for me to continue to talk about, a gentleman who in his high school years, when he would bring a girlfriend home, his father would take the girlfriend in his car for 2.5 hours and just disappear. And this kid got so much anxiety about low self-confidence, low self-esteem, that girls didn't want to be with him, when actually it was his father that was creating all this hell on earth. In his 70s, he came to me with a huge history of anxiety around women, and we were able to help him heal. So anxiety can be a specific incident. It could be being raised in an environment where anxiety is all around us. If you're raised in an addiction environment, alcoholism, etc., a lot of children come out of that environment filled with anxiety. If you did not have positive male role models, positive female role models, right away that can create anxiety. If you need help, because I've gone through it myself, reach out to me at talkdavid.com. There's so many ways we can approach it. There's so many different supplements we can take to decrease the anxiety, exercises we can do to start to manage the anxiety, which is really what we want to do. Reach out to me at talkdavid.com. I've been there. I know I can help. I'm David Essel. Have a great day.